Drew accused Jake of trying to act like a mobster on this week's episode of Survivor 45. Perhaps the least successful and intimidating mobster in the history of the mob, but a mobster nonetheless. How dare Drew? He needs to take that back immediately, because the real mob boss of Survivor 45 revealed herself this week, and that mob boss was none other than financial analyst Emily Flippen. Don't believe me? They literally showed her drinking the blood of her enemy. Okay, maybe that was just a glass of merlot in her hand during those confessional interview clips, but even so, who sits there displaying a massive glass of wine while doing an interview? It was like Mike White's biggest Survivor fantasy come to life. And they kept going back to it. And she kept sitting there holding the wine. There was so much wine on this week's Survivor I half thought I was watching an episode of Cougar Town for a second there, or some other sitcom where middle-aged adults hang out way more than actual middle-aged adults do in real life. But it wasn't just Emily's giant half-filled wine glass that painted her as the godmother this week. She was the one to crack the code on how to finally get Bruce out of the game. Not only that, but, and I want to assure the reading audience that this next part of the sentence is not a typo. Emily Flippen won a challenge. And not some challenge where people were divided up so she only had to beat one or two people. Emily Flippen beat everyone. The entire field. And a physical challenge to boot. She looked so disturbed and discombobulated after winning that I at first feared she had chosen the umbrella cookie shape for line number 4 or something. But no, she was merely in a state of shock that can only be experienced when either winning a Survivor challenge or being told that aliens built the pyramids. And as she downed wine during her girls' night out at the Survivor Sanctuary, where drunk things happen, Emily came up with a super risky move that somehow, someway played out to perfection. She convinced Uncle Bruce to not play his immunity idol, telling him that a plan was in place to take out Julie. And he actually fell for it. This was such a baller move because there appeared to be so much risk and so little reward. As for the risk, if there is one thing we have learned this season of Survivor, it is that the robot dance craze was meant to performed on boats and boats only. But if there is another thing we have learned, it is that the Reba women do not forgive and do not forget if you make any sort of move against them. Julie has been obsessed with getting Jake out after he wrote her name down, and Dee was like a Cuban-targeted missile at both Caleb and Kendra after they said her name. So imagine if Bruce had gone ahead and played his idol and then went back to camp and told Julie that Emily was throwing her name around. That couldn't have made her very happy unless Emily got her blessing on the plan, which we did not see. And what was the reward? I guess they got Bruce out 2 days earlier than he would have gone anyway? Or maybe 4 if he won another challenge. But as great as he has been in challenges, it's not like Bruce was going to win out. Nor was he any social or strategic threat that needed to be neutralized immediately. Which is what makes this move seem so unnecessary. Which is also what makes it such an impressive feat that Emily went to such unnecessary lengths to make it happen. Only a true mob boss would have the guts to pull off such a play. And this week, Emily was that boss. Okay, let's hit on the other big moments of Survivor 45, Episode 10. Making your bed and lying in it. The utter self-inflicted dismantling of Bello these past few weeks has been so fascinating to watch. It has been somewhat akin to watching an America's Funniest Videos montage of people repeatedly hitting themselves in the groin for no good reason. But my favorite moment of the entire Emmy-worthy arc of terrible gameplay went down at the start of this week's episode when Katurah, Bruce, and Emily talked about how strong and unbreakable the Reba fearsome foursome was, and how they needed to break it up. And then proceeded to immediately go at each other's throats again. The piece to resistance was Bruce telling Katurah he was nervous about the knowledge of power, so gave Kelly his immunity idol, and she was voted out with it. Wait, what? All of a sudden I was having PTSD flashbacks of Dwight Moore lying to my face about walking out of tribal council with Janine's idol, when he actually had given it to Jesse, which we found out the following week. Had Survivor producers pulled another fast one and asked Kelly to fib in her exit interviews as well?